The rig's drive rumbles into life, and Seraphin slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away. Look at us, there's our ship, taking off from the space station. Interesting. Hello, friends. Welcome to TroytlePower Presents Power Playthroughs podcast with TroytlePower. I'm your host, TroytlePower, and this is the podcast where we play games in a powerful way. And it's time to get sad about robots and cats, because we're gonna check out Citizen Sleeper 2. Citizen Sleeper 1 I really liked. It made me very sad. I'm definitely playing on the standard difficulty. This is a game where you want to fail. That's important. All right, we gotta choose operator, extractor, or machinist. Operator sleepers are built to work with drones and remote machines. Expertise in working with interfaces and computer systems, physically fragile. They can reboot. Their reboot skill allows them to hack their own systems and reroll dice. Ooh. Operator sleepers assigned to operator work are usually more cerebral and precise people. Extractor sleepers are built to work at coalface at corporate resource extraction. We want the operator. That's going to be us. Confirm class. I'm so excited for this game. It's going to make me so sad. Okay. I need to move my... It's a terrible place for the camera for this game. Hang on, we're gonna just grab this whole thing, go a swoop, and we're gonna swoop it right over there. Look, there's a little, we can line it up with that thing in the corner. Maybe go out a little more and up a little more. Right there, that looks perfect. I love it. Now I'm looking off the screen, which is weird, but can I can't wait. Can I just do? Look at this. I'm gonna do transform. And we're gonna flip horizontal. Whoop, bam! Look at that. Is it gonna weird me out? Yes, it is. In the moment before waking, the dark space before conscious thought, you struggle to find the pieces of yourself. Usually these pieces come with a particular cadence, each appearing sequentially, like the boot process of an old terminal. There's your body. Artificial, compromised, but relaying sense data all the same. Then it's context. The breeze of air filtration, the soft contact of your breath in zero-G. The emotion coming into focus, coming into your body, bringing with it that first instinct, the one that has framed your past 100 cycles. Fear. But that familiar sequence does not arrive. Instead, you are unmoored in space, your body distant, your context silent, even your emotions somehow obscured and scattered. Among all that disarray, only one familiar thing arrives. The fear. It is a scrambled, panicked fear. The drowning fear, the falling fear, the fear that makes you reach desperately for any stable point. It is the fear that tells you something is wrong. Something is very wrong with you. Wake up, sleeper. The voice is whispered in your ear, an act that makes you suddenly aware of your head pulsing in pain, your body rigid with tension. Sleeper. A familiar name. A mind copied, emulated. A body built, implanted. One person sleeping until their dead is worked away. Their double being made to work, to be consumed, and eventually to be destroyed. A proxy, an emulation, a sleeper. That is what you are. But you escaped. You remember that now. Broke free of your corporate creators, S and ARP, in search of a future. You cannot remember the details of your escape, but you know the fear has been with you ever since. All of a sudden, you remember you have eyes, and your eyes flicker open. Pale eyes and a pale face. Lane. The name comes with its own specific sensation of fear, one you recoil from instinctively. Sorry to interrupt, a sharp smirk, but this ends here. You search your mind for more than a name. Is this how you reward me for my generosity? Lane is leaning over your horizontal floating body, looking down into your eyes. I took you in, protected you. gave you a purpose. You try to look away, to the corners of your vision, to find something you understand. Your body does not respond. But I suppose that wasn't enough. He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and retrieves a small vial. This wasn't enough. The vial glitters. The object you know, and have known for a long time. Stabilizer, the drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind, your inevitable. I'm gonna try that one again. Stabilizer, the drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind, from inevitable decay. The only balm for your planned obsolescence. The liquid rolling in the vial fills you with disgust. Lane pockets the vial. But it'd be wasted on you now, after what you've done to this body of yours. He looks at you with palpable disgust. Lane's eyes scan your body, and as they do, you become aware of the wires and tubes attached to you. Those that were meant to free you from your dependence, from the stabilizer and the control it grants Lane. They are free, you piece of shit. They don't need... Wait, nope. Different voice. They're free, you piece of shit. They don't need you anymore. The voice comes from somewhere behind Lane's head. It is a voice you know, but when you search your mind to try to understand why, you find only dizzying darkness. Shut him up, Lane barks the command, and you hear the sounds of impact, of pain from elsewhere in the room. You try to move your limbs again, and this time you feel a flicker, the twitch of a finger. You feel the extension and compression of synthetic muscle. Free, are you? Lane smirks. You were free when I disabled your tracker, when I gave you the stabilizer you needed. He scans your body with angry eyes. You aren't free. You're just broken. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. Didn't like that one. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. I invested in you. Lane grips your arm hard and you feel a jolt of reaction. You will the arm to move. But you have ruined all that. Lane speaks louder over the sound of struggle behind him. I will try to preserve your body, of course. I have my own uses for it. But your emulation? You feel one of his hands searching behind your head. He finds and grips the thick cable running into the port at the base of your skull. I will burn that out. Lane jerks forward, slamming across your body and spinning away out of sight. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into your looping and wrapping. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into you, looping and wrapping around your limbs. Then you feel hands steadying you, pulling cables. You glance around wildly and see someone diligently unplugging you. You meet his eyes. Hey! He waves a hand in front of your dazed face. We need to move! Lane won't be out long! He unloops a cable from around your waist. Sleeper, help me out here! You blink slowly. Do you know this person? He leans over you and you feel his hands on the connector, flicking switches, releasing locks. Come on, come on, come on! He tugs the connector clear and pulls you up. You see the room you were in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out at an impossibly bright... Just gonna do that whole paragraph again. You see the room you're in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out at an impossibly bright, screen-filled street beyond. In the corner of your eye, in the corner, you see the dark shape of a floating body, surrounded by a glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood? Move! You are wrestled and shoved towards the door, which slides open in front of you, and then you are out in all that brightness, all that movement, gliding hard towards some unknown destination. You come to a stop in a dark alley, the one who guided you here pausing to catch his breath. He doubles over beside a massive life support unit that sends a lukewarm breeze across your skin. You stare at him, trying to recall anything about him. You notice his tattered jacket, his lightweight clothes. You remember the station runs hot, something about the power that flows through the place. He looks up and meets your eye. What's going on, Sleeper? He wipes sweat from his forehead, and it floats away in a swarm of spheres. Talk to me. I can say, who are you? Who was that? Or where are we? I'm gonna go with who are you? You see a concerned frown cross his face. Don't mess with me, Sleeper. That's not funny. He comes closer, eyeing you carefully. What station are we on? He narrows his eyes, waits for the answer. You close your eyes, trying to recall. You force your way through the dark to the image of a station. No, a city, growing on the back of a vast set of hexagonal solar cells, shadowed by them. You open your eyes. Dark side. The word leaves your mouth like an exhale, an instinct. Before you heard yourself sound it out, you didn't know it was there. He sighs. And me? Who am I? You see something like fear in his eyes. Panic, perhaps. You stare hard at his face, the slight upturn of his mouth, the intensity of his stare. Nothing comes. He closes his eyes and drops his head, putting a hand to his temple. The reboot. He's speaking quietly to himself. Lane interrupt the process, and... He lifts his head and stares at you. We need to keep going. We need to leave. He turns and kicks off down the alley. Come on, the rig can't be far. As you are led through the passages and serviceways of the station, you try to recall your life here. The texture, the temperature of Darkside feels familiar, but you struggle to pin specific memories to it. Focusing hard, you recall waking up in these passages, cycle after cycle, the rhythms of the station flowing over you along with the crowds. You recall desperation and the slow decay of your body that caused it. Then Lane, those pale eyes, offering you a glittering vial, stabilizer, the promise of supplying more for your work, a deal he locked you into like a cage. There your memory fails you, but in the dark beyond that moment, the residue of panic, of fear, remains. You were Lane's prisoner, Lane's plaything. You shudder in the cold passage. Wait. Your guide holds up a hand, and you stop your glide using the wall. Ahead you see the tunnel opens up into a wide open bay, with a few doors leading to cylindrical tunnels, the docks. They're watching the rig. He nods toward the docks, and you see one of the doors has a couple of figures flanking it, one covered in ornate tattoos, the other with bright silver implants along their cheekbones. Atsubo, Lane's guys. He looks at you and shakes his head in frustration. All this, it's not coming back to you, is it? Something catches your eye, and you see he is playing with a coin, nervously turning it over and over in his fingers. He sees you looking and slips it away. He places a hand on his chest. I'm Seraphin, all right? He looks pained when he speaks. Lane, he was our captor. Both of us. We did this so we could escape. We needed to reboot. We needed to reboot you, to break your dependence on stabilizer. He pauses. You know what that is, right? You nod meekly. But Lane interrupted me back there. The reboot didn't complete and... He sighs and shakes his head. We can still make this work. He looks back at the docks. I'll lead them away. You get the docking bridge open. If we make it to the rig, I know how to get us in. Got that? He searches your face for a sign of recognition. And say, I've got it, or what's the rig? I'm just gonna say I've got it. We gotta move, you know? There's pressure. Get that door open. He pats you on the shoulder. I know you can do this. Seraphin kicks off hard and glides into the docks. Over here, shitheads! He bellows to the guards as he barrels through. They immediately push off from the wall, giving chase. You wait a breath, then glide across to the door they were guarding. You look, already panicked, at the tightly sealed door, its control panel locked out. You hear a shout from somewhere nearby. You need to get it open. And now we get to our first skill check. During scenes, you may encounter skill checks where you can perform certain actions using your skills. Like the dice actions you will encounter later, skill checks can have a positive, neutral, or negative outcome. The better the rating of your skill, the more likely you will succeed on a check. The odds of success are displayed when you select the check. You can see more info in the guide section of the pause menu. So we have a interface option, which is hack the door, or we have a engineer option, which is break the seal. Okay, so hack the door has 50% positive, 50% neutral. Break the seal has 50% neutral, 50% negative. So I think we're gonna hack the door. Neutral outcome. You shift to the control panel, trying to understand the readout. The door is on emergency lockdown. Somewhere you hear more shouting. Your fingers hover over the keys. You switch to the administration layer and begin flooding the door operation system with spoof requests, desperately hammering the controls. The control OS crashes, and the door judders halfway open before failing. Go, go! Seraphin flies past you, through the doorway into the docking tunnel. You turn to see the two guards approaching fast across the docks, and quickly guide after Seraphin. Seraphin's already at the rig's door, inputting an entry code. The rig's door scissors open, and you both rush inside. Quickly! Seraphin grabs you by the arm and drags you up to the cockpit, the ship's layout hazy in your mind. He dumps you in a flight seat and straps himself into his own. You see him tap a series of buttons as he does, talking to himself. Come on. The rig's drive rumbles into life, and Seraphin slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away. Look at us, there's our ship, taking off from the space station. Interesting. As the ship glides into place on the connecting bridge, its automatic systems nudged there by the port's docking controls, you feel a sense of relief. Seraphin burned hard out of Darkside, and you dropped in and out of consciousness in your seat as the rig made its way across the belt. But now, with open space between you and Lane, you feel fresher, more awake. Seraphin breaks the silence. We're good, Sleeper. His eyes don't leave the monitor, and you realize this part of your escape is routine for him. You and he must have docked this ship countless times in your work for Lane. The problem is, you don't remember any of them. We made it, he whispers, closing his eyes and letting out a sigh. We certainly did, or stay silent. No, we certainly did. He turns and you see a pained look on his face, as if remembering something difficult. Have you said this exact thing to him before in the same situation? Are you okay? He looks at you, chewing one side of his lip, searching your face. Not really. Seraphin reaches up, flicking through a set of switches in a practiced fashion, completing the shutdown. You watch a little frustrated with your own uselessness. Running the rig, you realize, is just another thing you've forgotten. A clunk that runs through the walls of the ship is followed by a short, percussive alarm tone from the pilot's console. Docking complete. Seraphin kicks off from his seat, twisting as he glides past you toward the back of the cockpit. His hands find the rails on either side of the door, and he pauses, facing into the corridor beyond. He turns back to you, backlit in cold cyan. We need a plan. He glances around. Lane's not going to let us slip away quietly. He sighs. We need to talk, we keep running, or we hide here. No, we need to talk. Seraphin furrows his brow. Not now, Sleeper. We need to forget. He flinches, the words coming out wrong. We need to focus on something other than... He pauses again, unsure. Us. He sighs. We need to survive this thing first. Then maybe we talk. Fine by me, that isn't fair. I'm gonna stay silent. I'm not sure about that. What do you mean, us? We've bought ourselves some time. He glances through the cockpit window at the blinking lights of the station. We may not remember Hexport, but I do. And there are plenty of opportunities here for us, if we can keep our heads down. He turns back to the corridor. That's what we'll do. He pushes off and glides toward the main lock, and you follow, pulling yourself along, hand over hand, 0G. We already emptied the tank on this thing. He slaps a hand against the ship's sides. So we need to refuel, and that won't be cheap. But if you and I know one thing, Sleeper, it's how to work. I'm gonna get myself reacquainted, see if I can turn up any old connections, people that might throw us an easy contract. He glances back over his shoulder. You keep out of trouble. Low profile, got it. Seraphin stops at the airlock. Stopping the reboot halfway through. He pulls a worn crew jacket from a locker and starts putting it on. We don't know what that did to you. He jams an arm into a sleeve. I don't want you passing out and... He stops. I'll be fine, don't baby me, or it'll take both of us. It'll take both of us. Seraphin sighs. I hate it when you're right. He grabs another crew jacket and thrusts it at you. Just put the damn hood up, will you? You take it and slip it on. Thank you, or stay silent. Thank you. Seraphin nods. He stabs at the button to open the lock. The inner door hisses open and Seraphin glides through. Wait for a little bit, then leave. Anyone looking for us will be looking for two people traveling together. He looks at you in your worn crew jacket, a limited disguise for what is clearly a sleeper. We meet back here later. Any trouble? Same thing. Meet here. He surveys your disguise again and shakes his head. This is a shitty idea. He gives you one last look. Maybe find yourself something to eat. Suddenly you recognize Seraphin's instinct to look after you. A flash of a relationship now lost to the reboot. Catch. Seraphin throws a handful of something towards you. You manage to grab the projectiles, and when you open your hand, you see a stack of cryochits. Those should get you some food. We'll need some more fuel and supplies, he grimaces. That means odd jobs on the station for both of us. Seraphin kicks off and glides down the docking bridge. Don't go too far, all right? Take it slow. And with that, he's gone, leaving the connecting bridge and heading into Hexport's docking concourse. You wait for a moment in silence. Think about Seraphin, think about Lane, or make a plan. Think about Seraphin. It's hard to know what's going on inside Seraphin's head. Here he is, on some hapless escape plan with a friend who can't remember anything about him. You try to imagine how close you both must have been for him to agree to this thing, but it's painful to think about. That's all gone now anyway. All you can do is move on. Yep, I'm sad, all right. You shake the thoughts from your head and pull the jacket tight. Let's see what Hexport has to offer. You kick off and glide into port. Okay, welcome to Citizen Sleeper 2. Game runs in cycles during which you can perform actions with your dice, use cryo to buy stuff, progress clocks towards new scenes and events. Okay, select the scroll station with left stick. Okay, cool. So we've got the rig itself, we've got the Hexport Exchange, and we've got the Hexport Docks. Those are the 3 locations open to us so far. Let's go to the Exchange. We gotta buy some food. It's not going to be as good as the noodles. I just know it won't be. You perform actions by assigning action dice to them. The higher the dice you assign, the more likely you'll succeed, but your dice will be modified by your skill. Okay, like skill checks, 3 outcomes. Each action's also rated safe, risky, and dangerous. For more information, check the pause menu. Okay, so rules of the exchange. This is a place where you just need to look. Okay, so if I do 4 events here, that will trigger that rules of the exchange event. I believe, if I remember right, that's how this works. There's an interface skill event here to do. Impress the brokers. The data brokers are the heart of the exchange. They show off their knowledge by discussing decryption. Maybe if you can talk the talk, absolutely, and put dice. We're gonna put in a 3. 25% positive, 50% neutral, 25% negative. Nah, we'll put in our 5. 100% positive. Cool. You just progressed a clock. Perfect. Clocks and okay, cool. You intervene when 2 brokers struggle to unpick a Senate stat cache and expertly unpick its security protocols. They are impressed. Cool. This engineer one, I'm going to use my 6. Trading scrap is all about identifying materials and clean up components. It's an engineer job more than a trader's. 25% positive, 50% neutral, 25% negative, and it's dangerous? Let's go for it. Positive outcome. I really wish it showed you the dice roll. I would like to see that. Like in Baldur's Gate 3, I really like that. You've established a presence here, and the brokers seem to be a little more comfortable around you, and that opens up the rules of the exchange thing. Whoops, I didn't mean to go back out of there. Oh, we've completed everything there. And that opened up 2 new locations for us, a canteen and a trade hall? Why can I not get that one selected? Weird. Oh, I can use the D-pad. Okay, that's easier. Export or Hexport trade to install. Now let's go to the canteen. Noodles, noodles. Here you can eat in exchange for cryo. Eating gives you energy and stops you starving. Different food gives you different amount of energy. Eat at the canteen for 13 cryo. Where's my money? I don't know how much money I have. Oh, down there at the bottom. 31. All right, sure. Export trade hall makes fragrant stews sucked through a straw. They're heavy and warming. Okay, and now let's check out the docks. We still got 3 dice we can do here. Let's see. Chat to crews. There are plenty of crews milling around the docks and moving cargo. They can be a good source of info, or explore the docks, which is dangerous. Let's explore the docks using our 3 dice. 25% positive, 50% neutral, 25% negative. Start action. Here we go. Neutral outcome. Okay, takes away 1 energy. This place is a maze of glowing glyphs. Cool. And then we'll go over to chat to crews. 50% neutral, 50% negative, but it's only 2 dice. It's only risky. Neutral outcome. Export expert. You join a few spacers resting in the docks and manage to pick up a few local tips. Cool. Let's try that one more time. With our last dice. Neutral outcome. +1 Hexport expert. Cool. You have used all your dice for this cycle. You need to end the cycle at your ship, the rig, to reroll them. Sweet. Thank you. Let's go back to the rig. Gosh, I really love the structure of this game. The rig is your ship and home. While the rig is docked at a hub, there are multiple areas you can visit. Bunks. Use dice to reduce stress. Galley. Use supplies to regain energy. Other locations will unlock as you play. While the rig isn't docked at a hub, your crew will also help to gather resources to contribute to the upkeep of the ship. We have a crew in this one. That's very interesting. You can choose which resource they should focus on in the crew tasks menu on the left. They have a random chance of acquiring it at the beginning of the following cycle. Cool. So I can set Seraphim, you can't see this because it's behind my camera here, to take on odd jobs, which has a chance of cryo, scavenge fuel for a chance of fuel, or source supplies for a chance of supplies. We're going to do cryo, and we're going to, up here, go to the bunks. Rest and recover. Input dice. No. Oh, end cycle is right up here at the top. Go to beddy bye. I'm so excited to be playing this again. We're in trouble, sleeper. Seraphim leans into the bunks as you're getting up. Without further explanation, he disappears down the corridor towards the rear of the ship. You drift out into the passage, pulling on your clothes, and glide down the length of the rig, the cool air making you shiver. Seraphim is a silhouette silently leading the way. He stops at the far end, diverting through a side door, shooting you a glance as he does. You find Seraphim inside, holding one of a tangle of arm-thick tubes that are waving in the zero-G engine room. You know what these are? Tubes, fuel pipes, or no, tell me. We're gonna choose... There we go. We're gonna choose tubes. Seraphim rolls his eyes, but you see the hint of a smile. Thanks, genius. These are the engine's feed lines. He waves one and he waves one in the air. And before you ask, no, they aren't supposed to be waggling loose. What happened, or what did you do? I'm just gonna say what happened. Let's not be mean to Seraphim. These must have broken loose when we pushed the ship hard on our way out of Darkside. He looks at the mess. We're lucky the reserve tank is empty. Otherwise, he shakes his head. It would have been bad. But, he pushes the pipe to the side. No feed from the reserve tank means that the rig's range is limited to the local region only. He thumps the large lumpen housing of the engine. This thing can't take us anywhere far. I can say, so we fix it, or do we need to leave? We need to leave. No doubt, Seraphim grimaces. We are going to need to fix this. Otherwise, no one is leaving. Seraphim whacks the engine housing again, harder this time. Just not been our run of luck. He turns and starts gathering the tangled feed lines, his frustration evident in the violence of his movements. We'll need a new set of these, that's for sure. He starts forcing them into a crate. So how about you try to track them down? I'll take a look at things here and see if I can figure out another fix for the reserve tank. He glances up from his work. From what I've heard on Hexport, Factory Row is the place to find ship fitters. Maybe you can do some recon while I sort this place out. It's on the other side of the station. Okay, I'll take a look. Seraphim keeps working. Wait. Seraphim pauses, seemingly unsure. There's something else. He drops the feed lines and they float, waving in the air like tubular seaweed. I've heard word that Lane's on the hunt. He frowns. A message went out everywhere in the local radius of Darkside. He's looking for us. Shit. You said it, Seraphim sighs. Which is why we need those feed lines. I'm gonna try to work something out. Maybe I can improvise a solution. I don't know. He looks down. I'm no ship fitter. But while I do, you go hunting. See what you can turn up, okay? He smiles a weak smile. Get going. You leave the engine room, the clanking sound of Seraphim's cleanup efforts echoing through the ship. Fuel feed lines. That's the next step. You take a deep breath and head out. Except we don't. I'm gonna leave it there. Because it's a story game. Come on, you can't expect me to just play the whole thing and tell you about it. I am hoping to play the whole thing and tell you about it actually by the time you've seen this. So keep an eye on Geek Media. I should have a review up there soon. But in the meantime, thank you for hanging out with me while I check out Citizen Sleeper 2. If you haven't played the first one, go play it. Or just jump into this one. They're very, very cool narrative games. Absolutely worth taking a look at. Until next time, friends, tap A and hope for the best. If you enjoyed my show, it would mean a lot if you would rate and review it on iTunes, share it on social media, or check out my Patreon. You can find all of my stuff at TroytlePower.carrd.co.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
@ProbablyWork
for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.